FlossTube, it's Lisa here. I've finally made it back. I am so sorry about the length of time it's taken me to come and post another update for you guys. Firstly, I want to say thank you so much for your messages of support, because obviously when I uploaded my last update back in January, obviously I was quite flat and down and obviously questioning what I was doing. There is a reason for that and I'll explain that in a minute. So I don't know where to start really. So thank you so much for sticking with me. You know, I've checked as I came to upload this video, and surprisingly I still have some subscribers left. So thank you for sticking with me. Obviously it's now my intention to get back on the bandwagon and put some regular updates up there for you guys. So just to give you a bit of an insight, obviously I wasn't feeling great. There was a major reason for that. As it turned out, I actually needed surgery. I had endometriosis and fibroids, and obviously had surgery for both conditions back in April. So I have been on the sick from work for 3 months. I'm now back at work, I've gone back to work now, but to be honest, they were the worst 3 months on many levels, to be honest, particularly from my health point of view, because the first 7 weeks I was actually waiting to get the surgery. I just got to the point where I just couldn't physically get myself to work anymore, which I'm sure if you've ever been in that situation, it's just awful. I think I just kept going and just eventually ran myself to a point where that was it. I was just couldn't get out of bed. I had no energy, and obviously kind of feeling low and flat. There was hormonal issues in and around that condition as well, so obviously that had been affecting me quite badly, obviously with quite the low moods. So I'm now pretty much fully recovered. I'm back to work on a phased return, so I'm back in from work now. So I thought, right, now is a good enough time to kind of bring you up to speed with where I am. So from my point of view, that is one of the reasons I haven't been on. It's the main reason. Secondly, in that Poppy, my little fur baby, became incredibly ill during the time that I was ill as well. And if you remember back to January, I mentioned then she'd been put on medication for a heart. Her heart condition has sadly progressed really quickly, to be honest, without warning. 1 minute she was completely fine, the next she'd gone into full-blown congestive heart failure and almost died. She almost died at Easter, and actually that was the start of it. Easter was the start of it, and she almost died in May, bank holiday, first bank holiday in May, which was early May. Lost track of time, but early May she actually almost died. In fact, we took her to the out of call vet service, and the vet there said, you know, it's time, I think you need to consider putting her to sleep. You know, she said, I'll keep her going tonight for you with diuretics, which will obviously take the fluid out of her system, because her lungs had started to fill with fluid, because her heart's not beating properly, and obviously the blood's not pumping in the way it needs to, so her lungs are backing up with fluid. And she said, then, you know, you need to make an appointment with your own vets tomorrow if you'd rather have her put to sleep at your own vets. And I just couldn't believe it. I was just completely devastated that that was it for her, and that it happened so quick. So obviously we saw my own vet, and I asked my own kind of general practitioner vet if it was worth having her referred to a specialist cardiologist, which I have had done, and he has thankfully managed to stabilise her. She's on a lot of medication, you know, don't get me wrong, it's quite intense, the medication regime that she's on, and obviously while I was off work it wasn't so much of a problem. Not that it's a problem, but it wasn't as difficult to manage as it is now, because obviously now I'm back to work, we're having to work around Poppy's medication, and obviously she's on quite a high dose of a diuretic drug, which makes her drain water, so she passes a lot of urine now, which makes her very thirsty. So we're kind of obviously in that balancing phase of the amount of fluid she takes on board versus the amount she passes off. So we're often up in the night because she'll need a wee. She's very thirsty, so she'll need a drink. So, but it's good to have her around. I mean, she's not quite her lively self as she was, but she's still wanting to do things. She still wants to go for a walk. It's not a long walk, but she still wants to go for a walk. And while she's happy and she's settled and stable and content, then I'm happy. And the minute she's not, then obviously we'll readdress. So that happened. And then another big event in my life, which is really positive. I have a new addition to my family, and this kind of all coincided with Poppy and her not being very well, and I've got a new little King Charles puppy, and I'll put a little picture in of her now for you so you can see her. This is Daisy. I got her when she was 12 weeks old. She's now just turned 5 months, and she is just an absolute little bundle of joy. I'll show her. She's actually sleeping at the moment. She's just resting in her bed. But I'll go and get her towards the end of the video, and I'll introduce you to Daisy. So Daisy came in April to me, and I thought, to be honest, I knew I was going to be off for quite a while. At that point I was waiting for surgery, and I thought if ever there's a good time to train a dog, it's now, before I go back to work. And I know I've got a couple of months at home with her, which is one of the reasons I got her, and the second obviously, and this was before Poppy became really ill. I kind of, you know in the back of your mind when your pet reaches a certain age anyway, regardless of the health, that you don't have long with them. And obviously I live alone, and the thought of not having something to come home to is really hard. And I've lost a dog before, when Chloe died, and it wasn't long before I got Poppy. It was only a few weeks, but that kind of time is hard, and I was married at the time, so I had a husband and things like that. But so that's kind of one of the reasons. She's, I suppose, in a way, I guess a psychological crutch, as well as another thing to entertain for when Poppy passes. And plus it's nice as well that they've known each other, for however long that may be. And on a positive note for Poppy, it's actually given Poppy a bit of a new lease of life, because normally she would sleep a lot, where now she's much more active because she's frightened, she misses something. And that, Daisy's maybe getting a bit more attention than she is, so she'll be more involved than she was. So I feel Poppy's more present than she was with, she's not sleeping as much. So that's good. So that's kind of been the last 4 months. So really, really busy. Obviously my ill health, obviously now my recovery, which is going really well. Poppy's ill health and kind of stabilisation, and obviously my new addition, who is really super cute. So yeah, so I've been busy. So you would think I would have had 3 months, lots of time Stitch. Not as much as I would have wanted, because obviously having a new puppy in the house does make it somewhat difficult. I introduced her to my stitching very early on, because this is what I do, and no way am I going to compromise my, favourite pastime and hobby. So I wanted to make it quite clear and set my stall out early on that, this is my stitching stand, this is what I do, this is, you leave this alone. It's worked fairly well. I wouldn't say I get anywhere near the amount of time that I used to do it, because she needs lots of attention, she's a puppy. So that she gets first dibs of my attention anyway, so that is the situation. So I have got a reasonable amount to show you. I've got a finish, I've got some new starts, I've got some progress on some of my other WIPs, so there's a reasonable amount to show you. I've got some haul, a little bit of haul, and some new stuff to show you as well. So I haven't made notes, so I just thought I'll wing it. So you know, bear with me if it's a bit choppy changey, but obviously I haven't recorded anything for ages and I'll probably be a bit out of practice. So I'll show you my finish first. I'll just get my little board, which I should have had out already. So it is a Mill Hill kit, and it's one of the buttons and bead kits. And I'll just show you that, and it's the cappuccino Mill Hill kit, and I kind of got that completed, and it took me just over 30 hours to do that and bead it. I really enjoyed it actually, and I've got, when I show you my haul, I've got a couple of others of these, one that matches this and then something a little bit different, and my plan is to frame them, and there's quite a collection of things like this. So there's an olive oil one, there's a red wine one, a white wine one, so I'd like to collect maybe 5, 6, 7 of them and complete them and put them up on my kitchen wall. I think they'd look really nice framed and hung together, so that's the plan. They never look as good on the camera as they do in real life, but the beading's really nice in that, and as I said, it was a nice one to do. I think for me to kind of get back into the whole stitching process, you know, during the time I wasn't well, I needed to do something that was quite small and fairly simple. I did this on the perforated paper. I didn't mind it. Obviously, as you're stitching, it tends to catch on the bottom a little bit, so that was the only thing that was a bit annoying as you're working with the threads and kind of passing them backwards and forwards. It had a habit of catching on this bottom corner, but I like the kind of rustic effect that adds to the finished design, to be honest, and I didn't want to swap it out and change what I was going to stitch it on, so I'm kind of happy I've done that. The intention was to frame it in one of the Mill Hill frames, but when I read some of the reviews that people had written, they just seemed a little bit disappointing. I think it's different if you do a themed piece and you've got maybe a Halloween one, and you know there's Halloween frames in there that are kind of seasonal frames. I think that would add to it and I think it would look really nice, but for something like this I kind of want to frame it a little bit nicer, because the Mill Hill frames don't come with glass, they don't come with any border, and there's no means, you have to put your own like hanging mechanism on the back to be able to hang them up, so all you get really is a wooden frame, and for, I think they're asking about £10 in general in the UK for a Mill Hill frame. It just didn't seem good value, and I was a bit disappointed because I was going to get the matching frame and things like that for them, but ended up not doing so. So I'm just waiting to complete the other design, which I'll actually show you now. It's bear with me, sorry, I was looking at it and didn't put it back in the packet properly. It is the latte piece, so I've actually got that one, which is kind of the companion piece to go with it. So as I said, there's a couple of coffee type ones, and there's the red wine, white wine, and such like kind of food related ones that I'll put in the kitchen. I think they do some fruit and veg as well, which might be nice to hang up there. So I'm looking probably to complete maybe 2 or 3 of them, then I'll order frames and work it that way, I think. So it's finished, but it's not fully finished, and it won't end up in a drawer, shame, because I do want to get it on the wall. I have a purpose for it, you know, it's not something I've just done. So that is my finish. My second kind of piece is the Stitch Along from Lakeside Needlecraft, and I'm doing the Under the Sea Sal, and this is it so far. I've completed up to May. They've released June's, which will go here, and it's a couple of jellyfish, which are quite cute. I actually surprisingly like this. When I first got it and I stitched the octopus and a couple of fish, I was like, well, it's not really the type of thing I would naturally do, but it's grown on me. It's just really colourful and cute, and I like the submarine. I think that's a really nice element, and I hope as we progress through, I'd really like it if there was like a mermaid down there, or a scuba diver or something, like another human element to this. I don't know whether there will be, but that would be nice if there was like something like that within it, as well as the sea life creatures. The only thing with it, and I'm sure everybody else who's stitching this will say the same thing, these little tiny clownfish, they're an absolute git to stitch. There's like probably about 9 or 10 different colours in them, and you're literally changing and rethreading your needle for one stitch. Each time they look great, they look really good, don't get me wrong, but oh my god, they just take forever. But other than that, I'm really enjoying it, and obviously my plan is probably this weekend to get June's section finished, because obviously July will be released in a couple of weeks' time. The needle minders, they're gorgeous. I got them from Charisse at Denkai Designs. I actually ordered a few off her while I was kind of down and on the sick. So yeah, she does some beautiful stuff. So if you need some needle minders, have a look at Charisse's website, Denkai Designs. There's some really, really nice ones on there. So I got those 2 kind of sea creatures from her, and they're really lovely. So that is the Under the Sea cell. That is stitched on the flare fabric as well, the 32 count fabric that was recommended. So that's that one. Sorry, I've got a cup of tea here. I'm going to move it because I can see that going all over my WIPs. Ooh, close one. The next one I'll show you is a Heaven and Earth design. It is my Randall Spangler Train of Dreams. I did work on this a little bit while I was off. I mean, this is one of those things, I mean, obviously by nature, and I've said this before, there's an awful lot of colour change in it. You can work on it for hours and it looks like you've done nothing. I did buy the Paco needle thread and needle organisers, and that helps speed the process up. But obviously with Daisy arriving, I haven't been really able to work on this because I've got the needle organisers out, and multiple needles and a puppy do not mix. So obviously this is kind of on a bit of a hold at the minute, which is a shame, but it is. I worked kind of through this section here. I mean, I'll put in where I was before so you can just check. And then I've gone in and I've filled in kind of a lot of the random odd stitches over here, where it became very confetti heavy. Then I've kind of worked over here as well. So, you know, a reasonable amount of progress. I'd say there's almost a couple of pages finished. Oh, it's getting near to a couple of pages finished. But, you know, it's kind of, until I get, you know, Daisy's a little bit older and she settles down a little bit more, I kind of want to just probably leave this. The last thing I want is an injury. I meant to say needle minder here. This is another of Charisse's from Denkai Designs, a lovely butterfly that I got at the same time as the others. Okay, so next is my Harry Potter giant sampler, and I'll put in a picture for you where I was before so you can see, and this is where I am now. So a little bit of progress. I kind of moved across the top border and started on the gold H for the Harry Potter. Moved down the side here, I've got a couple of people in. One of the things I was kind of deliberating over was, obviously I've stitched this on quite a light fabric, and some of the white characters like the owl, and there's a feather here which you probably can't even really see, they don't stand out. So I started, you know, thinking about different types of thread that I could potentially use. I'd put in there a metallic to see if I could make it stand out a little bit more. And it does, I think, in person, maybe not so much on camera, but yeah, I kind of put it away because I just needed to think about it a little bit more. Then obviously I made a decision not to put the yellow in the border, and I went for a gold, which kind of in hindsight I do wonder how kind of clever a decision that was, because now I've got to kind of think of something to do in the other corners, and I may go for another satin style thread, because there's a lot of green coming over here, and you know, I just feel as I need to break up the kind of quite a lot of green. If anybody knows the pattern, you'll know what I mean. And whether or not I put any more gold in there, I'm not sure. But I mean, this is quite nice. It's one of those stitches where you're changing your needle for colours a lot. I mean, those people, you know, the little characters, they do take quite a bit of effort to stitch. You know, there's a lot of colours in them. You know, for 4 or 5 stitches, and then you're changing your needle thread again. But I do quite like it, and it is one that I'd like to make some progress on and get back out again. But I've stolen some of the floss for a new start that I've got. So I kind of, until I finish the project that I've stolen the floss for, I don't want to start having to like mess around with project boxes and things like that. So I'm just going to leave this one for now. So you probably won't really see anything on that either over the next couple of months. And then I worked on a piece that has not seen the light of day in months, and hasn't seen the light of day while I've even been making FlossTube videos. It was one of the first, it wasn't the first Heaven and Earth, but it was one of the Heaven and Earth that I kind of started and left, and then I've joined, which is a great group if you do Heaven and Earth Designs, the official Heaven and Earth Design Facebook group, and I'm on it every day. I just love it. I love seeing people's progress and what's happening with the designs, and it kind of spurs me on and inspires me, and it also enables me massively. I've bought a lot of patterns since I went on that group. You also find out when the website sales are as well, because Michelle will announce it on there, which is good. So this is when I buy them, obviously not full price. I've never bought ahead full price for a long time. So so yeah, and somebody was stitching this, and I love the design. It is it's one of Anne Stokes' pieces, and it's Dragonkin, and I'll put a picture in for you now. And I hadn't made much progress historically on it, and I still haven't really, but somebody's stitching it on there, and they've kind of come down the whole of the first column. They've got a couple of columns completed, and it looks fabulous. And you know, when you see somebody's work and how great it looks, and you're like, oh my god, I want to do that. And the colours in it are awesome. It kind of spurred me on to get it out, and I spent about 4 or 5 days on it. And this is where I got to. All I did really was work on the purple section, and this is a wing, believe it or not. It looks nothing. It's a dragon wing. It looks nothing. It really doesn't. And you're kind of looking at the colours thinking, how on earth will that match in, you know, the peach against the purple? But you know, it does. So that's kind of where I got to with that. This isn't something that I'm planning on putting into a rotation anytime soon. I don't know, you know, when you just get like a desire to do something, you know, and kind of I don't know, you just want to work on a piece. I kind of got that with it. And you know, that need isn't there now, you know, but I just felt as though I wanted to do something with it, so I did. But yeah, you probably won't see that in a while either, but I just wanted to share that tiny bit of progress with you. So I have some new starts to show you. If you remember in my last conversation back in January, I had 2 Heaven and Earth designs on the go. I had Keep It Safe by Zilda Nielsen, which I'll put the picture in for you now, which is the black and white design. Love this, but it's actually quite a wide landscape design with lots of background sky in it, and I'd lost my way a little bit with it and kind of put it to one side, and I haven't worked on it, but I'm kind of thinking that I'd like to again. So I've left it alone since January and I haven't picked it up, but I'm kind of now feeling that perhaps now I can't really work on the Randall Spangler piece, I might start to reintroduce that into the fold again. And the other one, if you remember, is Darkness Falls. It's Maxine Gadd's piece, and sadly now this has been retired from the Heaven and Earth website. So this is, you know, obviously I'd made, you know, some significant progress on that, but it was the fabric I was stitching on. I followed the guidance off the pattern when it was the first Heaven and Earth I'd ever stitched, and it recommended 25 count linen. And I think once you become a little bit more aware and I guess familiar, you know that that's not a good thing to stitch, or it's not really a good thing to stitch a full coverage piece on. But obviously being, I guess, a little bit naive at the time, I just followed the guidance. If that's what they recommend, that's what I'm going to stitch it on, and it's just been really tricky. And I don't know whether I said it before, I got kind of a bad linen, but it's flimsy and very slubby, and you end up with kind of uneven stitches. And you know, I kind of stitch cross country as well, which, you know, I kind of go off on a bit of a tangent and follow a colour, and it's hard to do that because your stitches aren't very well supported, and you often find that they slip behind the fibres in the fabric, and it's just really hard to work with, and I became very frustrated with it. So I'm still in a quandary with this, because I made, as you know, a fair amount of progress with it, and you know, this is where I got to, and you know, it's great, it looks really effective, and I'm just about to start to stitch the woman, and it's just like, what do I do? And I think because of the size of it, the scale of it, and you know, anybody who stitched Heaven and Earth will kind of be with me on this, you've got to enjoy it, because I'm going to be working on this, I would be working on this for an awful long time. I think I'm going to have to restart it, and yeah, I think I'm going to have to restart it at some point, but just not yet. I love the design, and it's something that I really do want to do, but I just don't think I'll be able to finish it on that fabric without going mental with it, because I wouldn't finish it. I just don't think I will be able to finish it. So that's kind of parked up for now while I decide what I'm going to do. And if I do restart it, I won't start in the top left corner of the pattern. I'll probably start in the centre or the bottom, just so I'm stitching something completely different with it. But they're my kind of, they were a bit of my bugbear when I was kind of uploading in January as to what I wanted to do, and it kind of got me into a bit of a slump. But I think I've kind of worked my way around it now, and I know what I'm going to do. So I think I will probably definitely get Keep It Safe back out again. So new starts. I obviously, while I was off, Heaven and Earth Designs had quite a few sales, and it would be rude not to partake of some of that opportunity. So I did, and I've got obviously quite a few patterns, but I want to stitch a few more, not necessarily minis, but smaller pieces, and I kind of never really looked at the Story Keeps before, because I never really thought what I'd do with them, to be honest. But if I thought by stitching them on a large count of fabric, you know, you do end up with something tall and slim, but I can still frame them and they will be finished a little bit faster. So my first new start is a story keep, and I'll insert the picture for you. It's Simply Meant to Be by Cherie Gerhardt, I think that's how you pronounce the surname. And I'll show you where I am. So I decided I was going to stitch this. It's really quite dirty around the edge actually. I was going to stitch this on 18 count Aida, 2 over 1 stitch, so two threads over 1 stitch, and kind of just make it that little bit bigger so I could frame it. So it's going to be quite sort of, not necessarily that thin, but quite long as well. So this is my progress so far. So it's getting there. I think one thing to point out, and what I have learned, is that obviously the detail in them obviously is still there, but because you're stitching on stitching a smaller part of it, there's a lot of confetti. The skull took me forever. It's still not quite finished yet. There's still missing stitches in that skull. It took me days to complete. I am not kidding you. I haven't even got a page finished yet, and there's more than 50 hours of work in that one page. It was hideous. It looks fantastic. There must be at least, I'd say, 40 different shades, maybe more, within that skull alone in terms of colours. There's violets, yellows, reds, browns, you name it, within that. But this design just appealed to me. I don't know why, it just did. I do have kind of, I don't know, you've seen Darkness Falls, haven't you? So, you know, kind of have a bit of a leaning for, you know, something a little bit different. So I think by stitching some of the story keeps, or, you know, even the minis or something along those lines, I should be able to start to get some things completed, because I do like the full coverage pieces, but obviously they take a lot of time, and a long time, you know, you're looking at years of work. So, you know, if you can do something within a few months, then I don't know, it just makes me feel as though I'm accomplishing a bit more. And then that with some of the smaller pieces like the buttons and beads Mill Hill kits, I just feel as though you kind of, you know, you're getting somewhere. And I mean, I love the process of stitching, but you know, it's also nice every now and again to have something finished as well. My other new start is a Heaven and Earth design, and it's a Chris Ortega piece. If you remember a while back, you probably won't, I showed you I'd purchased it's Machina or Machina, however you want to pronounce it, and a lot of people are working on this design, and I thought, right, I don't necessarily want to do what everybody else is doing. I do want to do this because it's gorgeous, but I chose, I suppose, what is the companion piece to go with it and make a start on that. So I bought and kitted up Steam Heart, and I'll insert a picture of it now for you to have a look at. And this is my progress so far on it. So it is the background element of it. So I've got 2 full page finishes on this, and I'm really enjoying it. Another little steampunk bee needle minder. This is again from Charisse from Denkai Designs, another lovely needle minder that I got. So obviously with this being steampunk design, I thought that would go really well with it. So my plan with this, because what I don't want to do is get bored of the background because it's all the same colours being repeated, I'm going to finish this 3rd page along, and I'm going to drop down here, because on this page here is where her top of her head starts, and then I can start to get more involved with actually stitching her. Because what tends to happen in a lot of the Heaven and Earth designs is that, you know, I kind of spend I don't know, months stitching the background and never get to the real detail piece, and by then I've got burnt out and bored with it and put it away, and it never sees the light of day for months until I kind of get, you know, the yearning to stitch it again. So that is the plan with that. I'm still really enjoying this. And it stitches up relatively quickly actually. I mean, I've been getting the pages finished in about 40 hours or so, so it's not majorly confetti heavy, this one at the minute. You know, it's fairly doable. There's quite a good few blocks of colours on there where you can get going and you know, make some decent progress in a night or a sitting anyway. And yeah, so that's definitely going to be you'll be definitely seeing a lot more of that over the coming months. And then finally, the last one is a Mirabilia, and I haven't stitched a Mirabilia in years. And I bought a couple of patterns. The first one is Persephone, and this is what I've worked on so far. I think I've got it the right way up. I haven't seen it for a while. So it's just her dress really, you can't really see very much, but I'm stitching it on the sand linen. I think it's 32 count by Witcheld. No, it's Permin linen. Is it by Witcheld? Can't remember. I know it's Permin linen. It's that stiff stuff. Anyway, it's starting to soften as I've worked with it now, but it's quite, I don't know, I know people who have worked with this, and I know people tend not to choose this type of thing and they go for the hand-dyed fabrics for a Mirabilia, and they look gorgeous on them, but obviously having the birds, as you can probably hear them in the background, and now 2 doggies, I would want to wash my pieces still, so I haven't got on the hand-dyed bandwagon just yet, which is probably a good thing for me. So I have that progress. I think one of the things, having not stitched a Mirabilia in 15 years, more than 15 years, obviously my eyesight is not where it used to be. I'm really struggling with the patterns, to be honest. Seeing them, the tiny, the symbols are tiny. I've got so used to using a PDF, having my iPad there with a PDF so I can blow it up massive. Obviously I stitch now under magnification and with the glasses. Even with blowing up the pattern to, you know, kind of 100, you know, 20% bigger, it's still, I don't know, I just wish they did the Mirabilia patterns in PDF format as well. It would just make life so much easier, to be honest. I did try scanning it in, but it's just not the same, you know, it just doesn't work as well. So I've ended up on paper, but just blown up when I photocopied it for a working copy, and I don't know, I guess it's just age, isn't it? But it just, yeah, it just makes it a bit harder. I mean, I think back to when I stitched in my youth and I didn't even mark. I used to work off the original patterns and I didn't even mark them. You know, I don't know how I did it. Made loads of mistakes, I've no doubt, but you know, to think then that I didn't even need glasses to stitch with, it's how nice it must have been. So what did I get stash wise? So I'm not going to show you all of the Heaven and Earth design pieces. It's not that there's that many of them, it's just there's not a lot of point, because some of them I will get around to stitching and some of them I might not, but there are some Randall Spangler little story keeps in there which are kind of the dragon book ends, which are quite cute. I've got a few of those. I've got this one, which I'll put in for you now, which is a Brush with Magic by Lisa Parker. I want to start this next, so as soon as I've got Simply Meant to Be out of the way, this is the one that I'm going to stitch next. It's much bigger than a story keep, it's kind of more of a mini size. It's gorgeous, I really like this. I'm not really into cats, but I just like the design on that, so that will definitely be the one that comes up in a rotation at some point, and then probably a couple of the smaller Randall Spangler story keeps I got a couple of his, so I'll do those. But when I start them, I'll show you them if I get round to showing you them, because you don't want to see a load of stuff, as I said, that I might not do. So a little bit of haul. I've not got it in front of me because I forgot it, but I have signed up and started to download the Stich Rovia Quotes to Live By, Sal. I'll put a picture in. I think everybody will know this. It's for the proceeds are going to the charity Mind, and yeah, I just like a lot of the quotes on there. I've bought some linen to stitch it on, and I've bought the recommended DMC to do that with, but I haven't started it, so that is kind of lurking in the background waiting to start. I think I've got the first 4 or 5 months of that downloaded, but I probably need to go on and get the rest of it, but it'll nowhere be completed when everybody else completes theirs. I mean, I've got 1 stitch along the Under the Sea Sal, and that's more than enough. So I have got that. I got another Mill Hill kit, oh glare, which is the Sugar Skull. Mary from the Unsinkable Mary Brown, she stitched this, and it looks really good when it's done, and I kind of looked at hers and I thought, oh god, I like that. There's lots of nice bright colours in it. I thought that would look nice on my craft room wall, so I thought, yes, I can see myself stitching that, so I got that. My other Mirabilia is Crystal Symphony, so I picked her up as well when I bought Persephone because I like her. I hope you can see her and it's not glary, so I've not kitted her up at all, but I just like her dress, and it's one of those where you could put her in really any room and she would go with it. So yeah, I like her a lot. I have bought a chatelaine pattern. It is, I think, a butterfly garden, butterfly lace it's called. And if you don't know what that looks like, I'll put a picture in for you now so you can see. Again, I have not kitted this up. At the minute I have no desire to start it. I just wanted to get it, and I suppose at the time I did buy it, I was thinking I would start it, but I don't really have a desire to start a chatelaine. I'm quite happy with what I'm stitching. I'll get round to it eventually, but it's there and ready for whenever the day is that I might wake up and think, ooh, let's start a chatelaine. But you know, we'll just see how it goes. And the other 2 are from a UK website, a UK company called Gecko Rouge. One of them you'll be more than familiar with. Sorry, oh, I've left them in the packets. I'm so sorry. I'll try not to make a noise. It is Gamer Nouveau by Medusa Dollmaker from Gecko Rouge, the website. This is something that Nikki from Nikki Crafts has been working on for some time now, and I've kind of watched her working her way through that, and I love this. I love this this chart. I used to play a lot of Nintendo games when I was younger. I was quite into gaming many years ago, and obviously kind of spent a lot of time playing a Nintendo 64, and obviously all of these characters like Sonic the Hedgehog, who sits up there, and Mario, you know, were all the characters of kind of my time of gaming, really, so it kind of really appeals to me from that point of view. So, you know, I've got it. So Gecko Rouge, for those of you who don't know, they actually sell kits. They don't sell the patterns alone, they actually sell the kits. So obviously you get a bound pattern, which is in here. You get I'm actually going to do this on 25 count, even weave 1/1, and then you get like a little kind of booklet really of your floss. It's really nicely presented, and it all comes on cards with the colours. I think from what I can gather, I'm assuming it's DMC, and as I have a DMC colour card, I would be able to match the colours if I was to run out of anything, but I guess you would be dependent on contacting Gecko Rouge if you were to run out of floss for any of the colours. So I've never worked on Magic Guide before, so yeah, I'll see how I get on with that really. Yeah. I also bought the really nice big chunky needle minder to go with that, so I can put that onto the pieces I'm working. Again, I have no real thoughts of when I would start that at all, but I kind of wanted it in my stash, so to speak. And the other piece, again, sorry, try not to make too much noise as I get it out, is another Gecko Rouge piece. And this I just happened to see as I was on the site, and it just really caught my eye. It's a piece by, I think the lady is Sandra Varga, I'm tempted to say. It doesn't say anywhere on here for some reason. I think it's Sandra Varga, and it is Alicia. So it's an Alice in Wonderland kind of image, you know, with lots of pink shades in, and you know, I thought that was pretty. I liked it, so I thought, yeah, I'll do that. And it's a little bit smaller than some of the other designs as well. What is it? I think I'm going to do it on 25 count, so it's like 9.5 by 11.5 inches as well. So it's probably the size of a Heaven and Earth mini. So I thought, yeah, and to be honest, I can see myself starting that in the foreseeable future. And again, I just bought the needle minder that goes with that, so I can, you know, have aspirations to what it might look like as I'm stitching it. We live in hope, don't we? I was going to say something then. I didn't tell you the Steam Heart project. Yes, I'm stitching that on, it's 25 count Lagana fabric, and I'm stitching it 1/1. I started my Randall Spangler's Train of Dreams on a 25 count Lagana 2/1, and it's okay, I can manage, but obviously it's a lot of thread on the fabric, and you know, it is sometimes tough, especially when you've got areas where you've got a lot of confetti and it's quite densely populated, to pass the needle. So having read multiple comments, listened to people obviously on FlossTube, and obviously looked on the Heaven and Earth design, I thought I would try the Steam Heart piece on with 1/1, and the coverage is pretty good so far. As you saw, you know, I'm quite happy with that. So based on that, both of these Gecko Rouge designs will be stitched 1/1 as well, and it does look a lot neater, I think. The other thing I started doing, where I am stitching 2 threads over one, I've started railroading the stitches, especially on the second leg across. And if you're not sure what railroading is, coming back to the lovely Charisse from Denkai, she's got a decent video up there, because I actually watched it, on how to railroad. So I'll put the link in below for that, because she does something very similar where you don't necessarily have to railroad the bottom stitch, but the second one, yes, to just get it neater. And I've started doing that on my Mirabilia piece. I started doing it when I was working on the Randall Spangler for a little while. So anything that is 2/1, I've done that, and it just makes the stitches sit a little bit neater, because obviously you're coming down the centre of the 2 threads as you come over the top. So I'm probably not explaining it at all. I'm not explaining it, but if you have a look at that tutorial that Charisse has put together, it will help you. So I think that is about it. In terms of plans, there's Poppy, I don't know if you heard that. In terms of plans, I want to finish, I want to make sure the stitch along under the sea cell is kept up to date, so I want to crack on with that this month. I want to make some progress on Simply Meant to Be. I'm really enjoying that, so I'd like to get that first page finished and then move on to the second page of that. I also would like to probably get out the Mirabilia. I'd like to stitch some more on Persephone over the next couple of weeks as well. So I think probably there would be the pieces, plus a little bit of time on Steamheart as well, because I'm itching to get across that third page and then down. So I think at the minute there would be my 4 that I would focus on for the next couple of weeks, well, few weeks. As I said, I do want to get back up to date with uploading videos regularly. As we are now mid-June, it's the 15th today, I will, depending on progress, maybe put something up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. If not, it will be an end of July update for you guys, and then we'll sort of take it from there, really, I think, because obviously I'm back to work now. I'm away a lot in July, because you know, it's the nature of the beast with the job, and then obviously August things settle down before they start to ramp up again in September. So yeah, I might not get as much time to stitch in July as I would like to because of work commitments. So until I win the lottery or a rich man comes and whisks me off my feet, I will have to continue working and, you know, do what everybody else does and fit the stitching in around that. So so that's about it on the update. So I'm sorry if I rattle through that a little bit, but I'm obviously mindful of the fact that I did talk a lot at the beginning of the video. I will, as soon as Daisy wakes up, I'll pop back on and let you see her as well. I'll introduce you to Daisy, because obviously she's probably going to feature quite heavily in anything that I do from now on, really. I haven't taken her across to the static over on the East Coast, the caravan. My plan is to take her and Poppy this weekend, so it'll be the first time she's been down on the beach, and yeah, so I'll probably get some footage of her down there for you. Yeah, maybe if it's worth uploading and you want to see it. But yeah, I'll say bye for now, and I will be back as soon as it's time to get her out of bed, and I'll come back and say a proper goodbye then. So bye for now, and I'll see you in a little while. So hi guys, so here's my little Daisy. She's just freshly woken from her little nap, so she's a big yawn, so she's quite relaxed for now. So yeah, so Daisy is, as I said, 5 months old now, little King Charles Cavalier pup. Let me just stand up for you so you can see her. So she's grown. I can't believe how much she's grown since I got her, you know, just over 2 months ago. It's phenomenal, really, the rate at which they grow. But she is such a good little girl, aren't you? Oh, big yawn. Thank you, baby. So yeah, so here she is, and I'm sure when you see her again, she'll be even bigger than she was this time. So yeah, you're very quiet. Oh, Daisy. Wow, this is quite nice because she's not actually chewing my ear off or scratching me. So yeah, I think she's still a bit sleepy. But yeah, we just thought we'd introduce. Say hello to your public, Daisy. Say hello, Daisy. Right, I am going to go now. I'm going to say goodbye and thank you so much again for all your support. Thanks for watching. Thanks to those who have subscribed to me and stayed subscribed over the last few months while I've not been around. Apologies for all the comments that I haven't got back to. I'll make a conscious effort to keep up with everything now that I'm back on FlossTube again. So thank you. I will see you again soon. You all take care. Thanks for watching and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye. Say bye bye, Daisy. Say bye bye.